I'm still Jim Stitt. And what we want to do for the next few moments is to talk about assessment and to drive home the importance of having a way of determining what it is that our students know. I said we're going to come back to that. Now we're back there. We're going to do this. And what I want to remind you of is that one of the things that you're missing in this workshop is all of the effort that we put on what I call group work. Because what you're doing here is that you are listening to us talk to you about the issue. You are listening to, and what we're trying to do is to show you some of the things that we're doing. And we're trying to give you a flavor of what it's like to sit in your groups and wrestle with something. But even when you do that, you take a look at the concept and you shake your head like this and say, yep, I understand that. The proof of the pudding is when you leave the classroom, get back to wherever you decide to go and try to replicate it. And what happens then is, as I say, what the heck just happened here? What were they talking about? And so in the full workshop that we do, roughly half the time is spent with you working in groups, actually trying to replicate something, actually trying to produce something. Because what we know is that when you reproduce it, that's when it becomes your own. And so I apologize for not being able to do that part. But for this instruction, after the session, you should be able to distinguish between a learning goal from a learning objective. I'll talk about what those differences are. We'll use something that we call backward design to align the learning goals with the objective. And we will distinguish between something that we call summative assessment and formative assessment. So the question is, why do we assess learning? We assess learning because it helps us determine what our students have learned. Furthermore, we assess learning because it helps our students determine what they have learned. And so the name of the game is to try to get your students to have an understanding of, a sense of, what it is they have learned so that we all know that. So, how does one normally start getting ready to prepare for class? If you are told that you have to teach biology 101 and you've never taught it before, what do? Shout it out. What's the first thing you do? Google? Okay, all right. What are you looking for in Google? Information. Okay. What kind of information do you want?
Syllabus.
Syllabus? Okay.
Ready slides.
Okay.
Refer back to plagiarism.
All right. From my experience, this is what normally happens. You're going to teach Bio 101. The first thing you do is say, what textbook am I going to use? Okay. What are good textbooks in the field? Let me find one. And then once you get the textbook, you flip through it, and you say, how many chapters am I going to do? I'm going to do chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 7, etc. How far can I get through this tome? Okay? And once you do that, what's that? You say, wait a minute, I've got to start teaching tomorrow. So you start preparing lessons. Okay? And then you teach for about a few days, and you say, I've got to write a quiz. And you sit down and you write it and you give it. What will be trying to argue is that that is an ineffective approach. What we argue is that the very first thing you do is decide upon your general goals. What are you trying to do with this course? What do you want your people to know when you're done? In other words, we argue you write the final exam, because that tells you what you want your students to know, your general goals. Once you do that, after you decide what you want to do, then you decide how will you know that you have achieved your goals. So you sit down and you articulate your objectives. And for our discussion, to drive this point home, we put the word measurable in front of it. Because if you have a goal and don't know how you're going to measure it, then the question is, how will you know that you've gotten there? Okay. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to go to, pick a spot. What do you want to know? Australia. You want to visit Sydney. Okay? What's the very first thing you do? You ask yourself what? What the hell is Sydney? Okay? And then you decide what? How do you know that you will have got to Sydney? And it is only then you start thinking about what? How you're going to get there. And so after you do your measurable objectives, that tells you how will you know that you have gotten to a general goal. You will then do your summative assessments. What are the things that you need to measure to ensure that you are actually there? And once you do your summative assessment, then you think in terms of your formative assessment. What are the things you're going to do along the way to prepare your student for your final examination? I.e., what are the questions you're going to ask each day while you are interacting with them, so that you know that they are making reasonable progress as you're moving along? Because if you're not making reasonable progress toward getting to your general goal, then there's no need what? Keeping on going. Step back and do something different. And so this is what we call the backward design process. Where, and note, I look at that slide, I say the emphasis ought to be on those things in yellow, or gold. That the most important thing to do is to decide what you want them to know and how you will know when they have gotten there. So your general goals and your measurable objectives. Goals are elusive. They are broad. We'll talk about that later. The objective, if you can't measure it, then it is of no value, because you don't know what you've got there. Any questions so far? Okay. Now, what are the goals that we have for this institute? If we're doing back design, we're trying to model our behavior. What are our goals here? To understand the important concept of responsible conduct of research experiences. To understand. Now, I underline the word understand. Because it is an elusive word. How do I measure understanding? If you use the word understanding to your students, they say, I understand. They say it all the time, I understand this. Why are you asking these dumb questions I can't answer? Okay? Because their definition of understanding and your definition of understanding are different. So goals are broad, overarching, far-reaching, whereas objectives are more targeted. We want you to understand something, but what's our objective? To get you to appreciate the potential of dual-use technology to be harmful for science. Okay. Again, I screwed up here. That appreciate is still a what? It's elusive. It's still a goal. I want you to appreciate. But how do I know that you appreciate it? Whereas, let's go back there and pay more attention this time. Another goal, to learn new teaching techniques to deliver content about responsible conduct of science. Again, learn is it's a goal. Because how do I know that you have learned? I can't say. Right? Objectives are measurable. I want you to be able to use something to solve a problem. If I watch you work and I actually see you use it to solve a problem, then I know what? That you're there. And if the student can use those things to solve the problem, he or she also knows that what? They have mastered that objective. If they can use it. I want you to be able to graph something. If you can take some data and produce a graph, I can look at your work and know that you have gotten there. So you can graph something. It's measurable. I want you to be able to use certain things to design something else. If you can actually do the design, then what did that say? I can measure it. So we talk about goals. Those are the big overarching things. That's my, I'm going to use the word vision. That's what I want you to be. And I use the word measurable objectives. They are the things that articulate how we're going to get there. We'll come back to that. Let's look at an example. As I said before, understand the important concept of responsible conduct of science. A goal, not measurable. Objective. Recognize the ethical issues that arise within the contemporary scientific enterprise. I put all these things in a box, and you go into the box and you pull out the ones that are applicable. That says you can do what? You can recognize it. And we can all agree when you have the correct recognition. Analyze case studies and identify misconduct within the scientific practice. I give you a case study, and we're going to do one of those this afternoon. And you will analyze the case study and look at that case study and say, these are the things that contributed to the malpractice that occurred. These are the things that identify this as a case of inappropriate conduct. Goals and objectives. And so one of the things that we ask you to do is that as you talk to your students, as you work with the students, to ensure that you give them objectives that tell them that they have mastered the learning process. Now, we have provided learning objectives for all of our sessions that we've given so far. I'm going to ask you to answer the question, what does providing those learning objectives do for the learning process. So we're going to call this, illustrate something we call think, pair, share. First, I want you to think, and then I want you to, in a pair, share. So turn to your neighbor, and I want the two of you to talk about this question. So first you think, what does providing the goal have to do with the learning process? You think about that, which means you come up with your response, your answer, what you want to share. And then you turn and share that with your neighbor. Because the process of sharing it deepens your understanding. But why would you think about it first? Because what the research says is that if you can get your students to commit to what they think, then if they find something that is contrary to that, they don't delude themselves into thinking that I would have gotten that. And if you don't make them commit first, that's what happens. So, think, pair, share.